Hey, welcome back to News Radio, Radio News, or whatever we're still calling this show. It's me, your host, Ethan, and we got some news for you today. Some of it's video games, one of it's TV shows, and some of it's just video game news that's kind of news in the video game scape of all things. We have some good news, we got some bad news, and we got some rumors, two rumors, of one of which is pretty crazy stuff. So that's our big story for the day, is the big rumor of one of these things. And the other one is pretty much bad news as always, with a certain somebody. We already know which company I'm talking about, but we'll get into that momentarily. I debate whether or not to start off these shows with good news or bad news, but I figured, you know what? Let's get the bad news out of the way first, and then we'll make our way to the good news. We've got two bad news stories, and the rest is all pretty much good news, and then we'll have mediocre news padded in between. But before we get started, go ahead and give this video a like, share with a friend, and if you have not already, welcome to the channel, subscribe, and let's kick things off with a little bit of news. This one's bad. Game Workshops just froze the assets amid a worldwide seller takedown for the Warhammer brand. Now, I'm not too entirely familiar with Warhammer as in general. I know it's a major, gigantic tabletop game that has expanded since the 90s and then some. It's been around for a very long time. Very heavy in lore. Henry Cavill loves this stuff. There are little trinkets and different figurines that people paint and they get from the Warhammer Company Co. There are a abysmal amounts of... No, not abysmal. Wrong verbiage. There is an abundant amount of Warhammer-affiliated things for you to get into, whether it's books, comics, tabletop lore books, video games especially. The Warhammer series is far and wide, but they're experiencing a hostile takeover from Games Workshop, who has essentially frozen the assets, selling to over 280 sellers, which if you actually look up in America, we only have 180 of the stores. So that means up more than half of the general stores available worldwide. Now, they are a United Kingdom company. They are located out of the UK. It is unclear as to why they are freezing the assets, only that they are trying to mitigate things. So here's what we got from a Spare Keys bits from their website, a website known for pretty much tabletop games and stuff. We don't usually cover tabletop games, but I thought this was big considering what IP is being basically in a tug-of-war battle. It says here, the article reads, Games Workshop has initiated a worldwide Warhammer crackdown, suing 280 sellers, freezing accounts and sales platforms. If you've checked your favorite online marketplace lately and noticed a few listings mysteriously vanish, you're not imagining things. Games Workshop just dropped the legal equivalent of an orbital bombardment, suing 280 sellers across the globe and freezing their assets in one sweeping move. We're talking shut down stores, locked accounts, and some very panicked vendors. Some were clearly pushing counterfeit kits, while others got hit for less obvious reasons, like using the word Citadel in a brush holder listing. They've got a lot to go over, but if you are interested in that, we are going to link the... I'm going to link several news articles in this one's description. This is big stuff, and it is not very... It's not a good look for the Warhammer brand when you have basically insiders of your own company basically trying to mitigate and freeze accounts and stuff like that. That's no bueno. Yes, there are some people that are basically, in some instances are selling some knockoff kits in their store, but like that's the equivalent of a retro game shop selling repros and labeling them as such. So long as there's a label, retro game shops can always do that. It's not negative. It's especially helped the Pokemon brand, given the fact that Pokemon, we're not talking about Pokemon cards, but the reproduction of Pokemon games for the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP and the Game Boy Color and Game Boy these versions of these games can skyrocket to anywhere between 100 to 150 to 200. And then if we're talking box copies of these games, you're looking at $500. So having a local retro store basically hold the ability to give you these games and basically clarify, okay, these are reproductions. My local game stores, there's a few of them that do sell reproductions of Pokemon, both the Pokemon games and the packaging, that the original packaging that they used to come through. They clarify that they are Etsy reproductions from Etsy's and Etsy users, or like a local gamer within the area, or somebody that does an artist that happens to sell these stuff. They do sell these in my retro shops. In fact, the one that's closest to me actually sells reproductions of N64 games. It's a way of, cheaper productivity. Again, they do sell regular N64 cartridges and actual Pokemon original officials, but if you don't care and you just want to have the feeling of, having a cartridge, that option is always there for you. Now, I have an official Pokemon Leaf Green, but if ever I wanted to play Pokemon Emerald again, which is something I always like, and I don't have a copy of Emerald anymore, if I ever wanted to buy that game, I'd probably buy a reproduction. But what does this have to do with Warhammer? Well, this is the exact same thing basically going on. There are very expensive official figures by Warhammer themselves, by the company that owns the licensing and rights with Games Workshop, and they're getting annoyed that some of these stores, which again are owned by separate proprietors. So it's the same thing with the McDonald's. McDonald's is a foundation, and then you have your franchisees owners. That's exactly what this is. Some franchisees owners are choosing to sell off-market or user-created figurines and paint kits and brushes and whatever the hell it is that you have, and they're not liking it. So instead of saying, okay, listen, if you keep doing that, we're going to cut you off, right? That's the normal way to go about doing stuff when copyright isn't concerned, or that. And they're not taking from any profit margins. You have to understand, when these people are franchisees and they buy these products from Games Workshop, they've already spent the money. They've already spent the assets that they need to officially have that. Any sales is the store's profit earnings. So if they want to make more money, or they need to get by because people aren't spending money on the official Warhammer sets and they're on a cheaper alternative, then yes, it is 110% within that store's reasonability to basically find a cheaper alternative for their customers and their consumer base. To basically say, okay, fuck you, we're going to close down and freeze your account of any, back and forth and or any allocated funds or money that you have directed towards buying product from them. That's a no bueno. That might work in UK in your little twisted fucking crooked teeth little island, but here in the United States, we're over 180 of the 280 sellers that were affected reside. No, that's not how business works here in the United States. That's called tampering, and is a form of fraud. So you can go fuck yourselves. Anyways, sorry to get all crazy and political on that one, but that's not okay, and we're not okay with that here. Here, you know what? Let's just keep up the momentum of negativity here. We're gonna get into the last negative article here. I thought I had way more shitty ones, but it's really just these two. But they are big stinkers. But I appreciate you guys listening, and let's move on to the next stinky article. The stinky poopy, the poopy bum. Look at this poopy bum here. Ready? Nintendo, as per usual, the usual suspects over here. These motherfuckers just updated their terms of service, and it is a knuckles down Switch piracy. It is now effective immediately. The Nintendo Switch has been updated, and the Nintendo Switch 2 will also have this pre-established in the programming for the Nintendo Switch. But, and here's what this is. This is a big fucking deal. If you mod or do any sort of tampering to the Nintendo Switch, they have the rights and will effectively boot down and brick your console. That's right, folks, you heard that correctly. They have the right to basically brick your console. It is unclear on how this will work exactly, but you have to understand that mods can be anything from an aftermarket game. It could be anything from a reproduction game, which is actually currently starting to affect the Nintendo Switch marketplace with people reproducing their own chips. Or say you are a budget family and you decided to invest in this one mod that was a chip. That's a Nintendo Switch chip that's hollow, but it has access to basically plug in a micro SD card. And some people have taken those micro SD cards and put them into their computers and downloaded this program called Switch Library. And what that does is it gives you access to over 2,000 plus Nintendo Switch titles and games. Do I condone this? No. I'm a physical boy. I love my physical games. I love collecting. I'm always going to do that. But I understand the why people would go out of their way to do stuff like this. Again, once productivity, I don't know how it works in Zipperhead little fucking Rising Sun land, but I can promise you here in the United States, when you buy some shit, that shit's yours. What you choose to do with that shit is up to you. So now a lot of people who have done mods, and this goes outside of that, if it detects mods, it could even be anything from a modded controller. It could be anything from a slight mod. Maybe somebody even took it apart. Here's another thing, is that if the system process had been reset, there's chances that if you, like, say you had a dirty switch or something went wrong, or the CPU thermal paste in the Nintendo Switch started becoming faulty, or the fan blades, the fan cooling unit inside of it stopped working. If it got taken apart and replaced, if it doesn't have the proper replacements and it reads that, there's a chance that the Nintendo Switch new online terms of service for the Nintendo Switch, not the Switch 2 yet, but for the Nintendo Switch itself, there's a chance that the terms of service, and we already have reports here of people who have had aftermarket Nintendo Switches that have been, either refurbished or repaired from GameStop, mind you, not like you're some fucking, Joe Schmo shop. We're talking from GameStop. 2 reports already after this update went live of the Nintendo Switch users and their console being bricked because it effectively was going against terms and services because something was done to help refurbish and it wasn't the exact same parts that was used when it was manufactured. What the fuck are we doing, Nintendo? Are you absolutely serious right now? You're bricking consoles because, you're not playing by our rules, so fuck you. Especially now that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to have a very online formatted system and ecosystem. You kind of can't use these things unless they're all online. Now, for the Nintendo Switch, thankfully, if you have modded, I would strongly suggest that you turn off your internet, turn on your Nintendo Switch, and disconnect it from the internet. If you have done anything to your Switch, modifications, modded controllers, modded Joy-Cons, if you have done anything to deliberately fuck with digital content or have access to a micro SD chip that has been formatted to give you an abundance of games, if you've done anything like this, don't put your Nintendo Switch online, or you have a very high risk of Nintendo themselves bricking your console due to the new updated terms of service. This is just bullshit, people. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I haven't said it before, I cannot fucking condone the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm so annoyed with Nintendo right now. How can you do this to players? Some of the most excited, and some of these people don't mean ill will to the community at large. They're just trying to share, creativity and stuff like that. None of this stuff is intended to cause problems with people. Yes, I understand you're trying to make money on stuff, but you know what? This is just to the point where you're going to see a lot of backlash. I tell you one thing, if my Nintendo Switch... Now, I have never modded my Nintendo Switch. I'll come out there right now and say I've never done anything to the Nintendo Switch. But say something happened to mine and I got mine refurbished and they did a replacement part and they used a cheaper part because it made the most sense for what they were doing, and they're not going to charge me $150 plus additional dollars for some stupid, cosmetic flaw or some sort of, easy fix, like a fan blade or coolant. If something like that happens and my Nintendo Switch bricked, I can promise you right now, if I was affected by this shit, I would never support Nintendo moving forward. I hope they dial back on this and they reduce it to people doing modifications in an online setting, which actually effectively affects the user bases. And even then, I think that should just be banning the account and or doing a system wipe. But bricking a console that somebody owned, that's ridiculous. We're also going to see a high risk involving the Nintendo Switch now and the Nintendo Switch 2 aftermarket. You're going to see a lot of these people trying to sell off dummy dead consoles that really nothing can be done to these things. I think we've gone on long enough about the Nintendo Switch. I'm very passionate about it. I've already eaten up a lot of times. I know some of you are like, okay, get on with it. But this is not acceptable. And it's aggravating to me personally. So let me know what you all think in the comments down below. Am I right to be angry at this? Are you upset with this? Do you think this is outrageous? Let me know down below. Are you for this? Do you think this should be more punishment? Should you think Nintendo should break in and whack my pee-pee? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hey, speaking of getting whacked, Mafia, the Old Country. What a fucking great transition, by the way. I'm the king of transitions, all right? Do not clip that. Anywho, Mafia, the Old Country. A little bit of controversy here. It's whether or not you like it or not. But 23 years and 3 sequels later, Mafia Old Country and the Mafia franchise as a whole is abandoning the open world roots. Now, apparently, the new Mafia game will not be an open world title like Mafia 1, 2, or 3, or the remake of Mafia 1. Instead, we're getting more of a linear, story-based, chapter-based video game. Now, I'm okay with this. Personally, I like games like this anyways. And in 2025, I fear we are lacking a lot of games like this. This might be the step in the right direction in terms of showing that game companies can and might be able to even, start doing games at a lower rate and a lower cost and scaling it back. This is what I've been talking about with scaling it back. I think when I found out about this, I actually didn't know based on the trailer. I just saw the trailer and I said, oh, there's a lot more stealth than usual. And that was it. They still showed driving and horseback riding in an area like that. My guess is I don't believe it's going to be entirely open world. I believe that there's going to be chapters and linear par sections, but there will still be a hub world. If I were a betting man, I'm guessing that there's still a hub world. There is no confirmation on whether or not there is a hub world, but they have gone out on stated that they are abandoning its open world roots for a more linear narrative driven video game experience, says Hanger 13. What do you guys think about this? I mean, let's be honest. Mafia has been around for 23 years, been around since the original Xbox. It came out on the original Xbox and then a year later for the PlayStation 2 with Mafia. Mafia 2 came out in the early years of the Xbox 360 and PS3 life cycle, and it has arguably one of the best stories and twists. DLC, not so good. I hate you, that evil ass achievement for driving as many miles in real life game time. Ridiculous. And then Mafia 3 was a good little jaunt, bit of, racist undertones, but it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I thought it was really great. And personally, it's my favorite story, was the third game. But let me know what you think. Do you think that this is going to hurt the overall feel and look and appeal of Mafia the Old Country? I'll tell you one thing. I thought that the game was it was a good thing. I think I commented in one of the older news radio episodes that Grand Theft Auto being delayed was kind of almost a blessing in disguise for Mafia to, shine, and for all those people that were kind of, itching to get a new, an open world game like that. Maybe this would have, mitigated and got them more sales. I wonder if maybe this departure was this for sales reasons? Was this to scale back profit and expenses? I mean, not profits, but expenses. Or was this in a direct retaliation, knowing that, okay, they were going up against Grand Theft Auto, maybe we should pivot and change? Because here's the thing: if they were going up against it, that makes sense. But now that the game's been delayed a whole year, I wonder. I want to know the inside scoops of that. I will be digging a little further and finding that out because I'm curious. I'm sure you guys are all curious. But if not, again, I say it again, and I'll say it time and time again. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Hey, speaking of thinking about stuff. Apparently, the developers around the world have been asking and thinking to themselves, well, why bother making Xbox games anymore if Xbox is never going to do exclusives? Now, this doesn't mean that ports of games like the brand new Doom or soon-to-be Grand Theft Auto 6 are never going to come to Xbox, and Xbox as a brand is going to go away. No, far from it. Xbox is sticking around. But in terms of exclusivity, companies are questioning whether or not there's a point in going exclusive anymore with Xbox. Now, here's the thing: is that this developers, when asked about them to clarify, they actually don't seem to put any sources. So I think this article is a bit hogwash. It's been making its rounds about, and there's been a bunch of other companies that have kind of covered it as well. But we wanted to, kind of let it known. It's in the news cycle. There's people developers are apparently thinking this, but nobody seems to want to source themselves, which tells me one thing: either it's hogwash, or they're just afraid to basically speak up and get themselves in trouble working in an industry that is as volatile as it has been with the amount of firings going on in the gaming industry. But I pass this on to you guys. Do you think there's any point in making exclusives for Xbox? Me personally, I think yes, there's always going to be a point, because you can get your first wave of people right away, or and then strategically plan to release your for the PlayStation and other platforms at a later date. It doesn't have to be a year; it can be later. But if anything, it's proven that it has been working, with Forza doing well, with Indiana Jones doing well, and moving forward. As much as I hate to say it, I think Gears of War is going to do phenomenally well. So I think there's always going to be a point to go with Xbox. And plus, if you get under that Xbox umbrella, you get more of a funding. And if you're confident in your team and your game's ability to do so, i.e. Expedition 33, then you'll always shine bright and have more eyes and viewers and gamers if you go with Xbox with the Game Pass. Whether you are going to go multi-platform right away or not, you should do a Game Pass day one deal right away to strike the coal in the fire, to get more people interested and invested in talking about your games. Because let's face it, the PlayStation players, they'll pay anything for your game. It doesn't matter. Does it matter? Yes, it does. Of course, you want more people talking and playing your games and what have you. But with Xbox, I find that the Xbox gamers in general, in terms of social-wise, they're very more outspoken and are more willing to talk and feature and, rave about your game. So if you can make it free and more accessible to those minority of players that are, have a bigger voice, then why not, But that's what I have to say about that, with that news hitting the storefront. We still have another rumor to cover. I'm going to get this one over with pretty quick. Again, it's a rumor. It's not 100%. It's got a code name, but Project Kenneth, the first Xbox handheld photos just leaked. Project Keenan. It's some sort of PC gaming handheld leaks. I don't know how much I fully believe this thing. It's got the Asus ROG Ally 2 PC gaming prototype console. It looks kind of fishy. It doesn't look very Xboxy. We're not going to put photos here because I don't want to be taken down for this, but I encourage people to look it up and determine for yourself if this one's real or not. It's a bit, again, we got some big news articles here to cover, and I don't know. It was one of those things that kind of popped up last minute for me. But let me know what you think. And that's it for our Xbox news. Let's move on to a little collaboration that's going on. Me, I don't care. I do and I don't care. I love Street Fighter 6, but Overwatch 2 is getting a Street Fighter 6 official collaboration. They put out a trailer, and they pretty much have like a bunch of skins for a bunch of characters here. Now, I'm not entirely familiar with all these characters, but I know all the Street Fighter characters. I have no idea who the fuck half of these half of the Overwatch characters. I never really played Overwatch, never got into it, but it is what it is. You're going to have, on May 20th, they're going to be launching a thing. You can basically buy these skins. They look like skins for the heroes in the game. I'm going to go ahead and look this up for you guys real quick here. But I know that Chun-Li is in there. Chun-Li, Juri, Ryu, Blanca, M. Bison, and Dhalsim are all going to be... And Cammy as well. Cammy will... I think I already said that, but I think there's 7 skins. Yeah, hold on. Chun-Li, Cammy, Juri, Ryu, M. Bison, Blanca, and Dhalsim. So 7 skins for different characters. I don't know who their skins are for. I'm not entirely sure. I think Cammy's is Widowmaker, and I only know that simply because I think that's the only one that I recalled. I don't know the fucking names of these characters. Hold on one second. Street Fighter. Well, here, let me get you the right information for you here. You think I would have had this paired up, but I did not. I'm sorry. Apologize for this one. So here are the characters as we have Zenyatta as Dhalsim. Sorry if I butcher these names. I don't really give a shit, you know. We got Winston as Blanca, Sigma as M. Bison, Hanzo as Ryu. I got a fucking World of Tanks ad again while I'm trying to fucking read this shit. Yeah, guys, I fucking hate that game. I don't know what the fuck people are doing. Still playing that shit. Fuck me, dude. Hey, how's your weekend going, by the way? Good? You like the small talk? This is on me for fucking this one up, by the way. We got Hanzo as Ryu, Juno as what the fuck? They misspelled her name. It's Chung Li, not Chung Lai. Fuck. Soldier 76 as Guile. I did miss one, my bad. Is that all of them? No, there's still Blanca. I know I said Blanca already. Winston is Blanca. And oh my fucking god. Okay, so I wanna take it. This is completely off topic here. Anyways, Overwatch 2 skins, Street Fighter. That means that in some way, shape, or form, Street Fighter in the future is gonna get Overwatch skin. I like Street Fighter a lot. I play Street Fighter 6 a lot. I do not give a flying fuck about Overwatch. I'm a sucker though. I'll still buy the shit regardless because I'm a dumbass. When it eventually hits Street Fighter, if it ever hits Street Fighter, we'll see. I personally don't give a shit. I really don't care about Overwatch. Overwatch can die in a hole for all I care. It really is just nonsense. But if you like Overwatch and you're still playing Overwatch 2, even though everyone's playing Marvel Rivals, there are Street Fighter skins there. Do me a favor, buy yourself a Chun-Li, look hot, and enjoy your life. But I was going to go on a tangent here. Throw up a photo of IGN. Fuck this company. Fuck your dumb website. I never fucking use it. And every time I do, every time I go to move anywhere on this godforsaken fucking website, it fucking crashes on me all the time. Or it brings up a goddamn ad for Warhammer or World of Tanks or Valorant. Or it just straight up fucking took me to Starbucks for some fucking reason. Dude, why is it that I'm clicking on your fucking website and it always goes to shit? Fuck you. Fuck your website. Fuck IGN. I'm so fucking tired of them. They're such a pain in the ass. When you work with gaming news outlets, this is just a pain in the ass. This is just me bitching. Should I keep this in or edit it out? I'm going to keep it in. You know me. I don't fucking edit this shit half the time. Alright, let's stop being negative. Why are you being negative, gamers? When good news is just around the corner. Because there's even great news. Not only do we have a new pope that I don't give a shit about, but apparently the new pope is a gamer. That's right. The pope himself, the new pope, Leo the 15th. I think that's 14th. Shit. Whoops. Wait, is that 16th or 14th? Oh my god. I don't know. Anyways, the new pope is the first American pope. He's from Chicago. And get this, he is a gamer and he plays Wordle. He has a Wordle streak. And he probably has a better Wordle streak than you. What the hell is Wordle, you might ask? Well, old people play this words with friends kind of game on their phone. And this is just something that he does. He's apparently doing that. And that makes him a gamer. We thought it was a funny little article to break up the negative that we experienced. I didn't mean for that Street Fighter Overwatch 2 to go negative. But, it is what it is. Hey, some great news, though. We got some more great news before we get on to our big story of the episode. But before we get into that, we got some good news here. New Peacemaker trailer, which is for the new Season 2. They showed a lot in this trailer. If you have not watched it, please go watch it. But I'm going to discuss it here, so come back to this video when you're ready. Okay, you ready? Okay. More Eagly. More Chris as Peacemaker. We got the team coming back together. We also see that Maxwell, this is our first look at James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn playing Maxwell Lord as he interviews for the new JLA. And we also get to see Nolan's version of the Green Lantern, aka Guy Gardner, and chick from The Last of Us Season 2 plays Dina, whose name escapes me right now, playing the Hawk Girl with their white corporate America looking outfits and stuff like that, and they're talking shit to Peacemaker and stuff. I thought that was pretty neat. I like the fact that, he's still an underdog even now, and there's a little surprise at the end of that trailer, so if you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. But it is interesting to see that this might be going into multiverse territory. I thought we were kind of done with that with the DC, at least now that we're restarting, but I guess there are some unanswered questions where some multiverse shenanigans might be able to quickly, be able to work as a bridge to answer all those unanswered questions, and then hopefully it fucks off, because I'm tired of the multiverse and all forms of media. Let's be honest, we all are. Hey, the good news doesn't end there, folks, because remember, in our very first few episodes of radio news radio, whatever the hell we're still calling this show, Bam Margera was effectively unavailable and was not going to be featured in the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 as one of the unlockable secret characters from the original, which he was in both of those games. Collectively, the internet at large was upset to find out that their favorite goofy skater, the problem child, due to his recent controversies and outstanding controversies prior, had led to him being axed from the game. Well, Tony Hawk went out of his way to bout for him, but we never heard anything from that. Well, it turns out, with an official trailer, with Bam behind the camera basically talking about how special the series is to him, Bam Margera will officially be back in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. And I guess that worked out for him because the pre-order numbers for the game actually show a net positive. So, it goes to show you, listen to the gamers. We know what we're talking about because we know what we want. We want certain things, and when we want certain things, we're going to talk about it. And when we talk about it, it's up to you guys, the people making these fucking things, to listen to what the gamers want. Don't ignore them, because it works out well in the end. congratulations to Bam Margera. I'm glad to see him turning his life around. And I'm glad to see that even though he's, done some bad shit in the past, he's still got a redemption arc, and I like to see it. And I love to see that he's such a gamer. He's so fond of the series as is, and he holds no ill will, and that he's so, excited to be in the game again. And congratulations to Tony Hawk. And I have a whole new respect for the man. Not only is he a skateboarding icon and a legend, but he also is a downright great person. I've heard of all the community shit that he does for kids. And this just goes to show the kind of character he is. So congratulations for having your friends back there, Tony. That's some fucking great shit. Anyways, we're on to our last news article. This one's a big one. Now, if you checked the thumbnail, which I make, and they look so cool. I have a good blast making these things. They're so funny looking. I know some of them are cringy or just downright shitty, but it's just like, whatever. I'm working with paint here, But yeah, if you hadn't checked the thumbnail, and you just clicked on this to hear News Radio, we thank you. But Half-Life 3 is reportedly playable from start to finish. Now, this isn't just one article that's talking about this. This is literally every single news outlet, including us, at News Radio, Radio News, whatever the hell we're still calling the show. Half-Life 3 is apparently real. After years of speculations, after a running joke about Half-Life 3 coming out, after what the cavemen, us gamer cavemen, were drawing the Half-Life symbol on cave walls with our poop, with our feces, the Half-Life symbol with the letter number 3. It was nowhere near in sight. It was almost like a running joke. But here it is. It's real. It exists. And it's playable from start to finish. This is coming from an ex-Valve insider who worked at the company and said now that it's done, he's moved on to greener and better projects outside of Valve. He felt it was time for a change of pace. But yes, in fact, the game is finished. It's done. It exists. And numerous reports are saying that it is looking to be announced in the summer as a Summer Game Fest title, which is a big one. If it is in fact real, now again, grain of salt, but with everybody covering this fact and leaks coming like left and right and center, there's a lot to go off of. There are ex-employees basically saying, yeah, it's real. There's a ton of different insiders that are saying, yes, it's playable. There are a ton of different people that are saying they've had their hands on it. There's artwork that's starting to circulate around for Half-Life 3. There's trademarks that have already been patented well in advance before this game is even out, and has been constantly updated for the past better part of 16 plus years. Half-Life 3 is real, and it's actually going to be a thing. Now, when will it be announced? Who knows? They're projecting that it will be announced soon or within summer at the Summer Games Fest, hosted by Jeff Keighley, that son of a bitch. That smug fucking bastard gets to go out there and be like, hi, I'm Jeff Keighley. We got a big show for you today. Fuck that guy, dude. I want to punch him. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't want to punch you. Invite me to Gamescom and then I'll punch you. Okay? No, I won't punch you. I'm joking. Or am I? Anyways, Half-Life 3 exists. What do y'all think about Half-Life 3? Leave a comment down below. That was my dog. She just intrudes, dude. There's it's like no closed door policy when it comes to my dog Scarlet. Anyways, that's all the news that we got for you, but I do want to talk more about Half-Life 3 a bit here. Now, here's my theory. Here's my running, my only concern for Half-Life is that Half-Life is a decent game. It's all right. I don't hate it. I don't particularly care for it either. I've played it way back in the day, and I have to say, Half-Life 2 has not aged gracefully. All right, I don't think it's a game that's aged gracefully. The Source engine is what it is. I don't think it looks bad. that's not it. I just think that gameplay-wise and direction and the overall feel of it is from a very dated point of gaming. And let's face it, in today's ecosystem, when you're running and doing all the crazy shit we're about to do when Doom drops this Tuesday, by the way, it's hard to really say, hey, now bring it down to a crawl as you play this game that's like a first-person shooter with physics engines that don't really work all that well. I think it worked for its time. It hasn't aged well, and it needs to do something fantastic. But if Valve's track record is anything to go off of, they are innovators in their craft, and if they're going to do anything new, they're going to do something that's really, really crazy, and it's going to blow our socks off. So I'm excited for it regardless. My only concern is that, but for me, then that should be great, and will be grade A beef, people. But that's it for the news today. I appreciate you sticking around this long. If you like what you heard, I appreciate you listening this far. Go ahead and give me a like if you can. Share with a friend. I know we asked at the beginning, but I'm going to ask at the end. And we will see you on the next episode. Peace.